Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I'm not in my normal setting. Because we've all gone back into lockdown, I thought I'd bring back my back to basic recipes for you. So here are a few really simple and easy recipes to follow using basic equipment and ingredients, and I hope you enjoy them. I was so excited to finally share my carrot cake recipe. I've been making this cake for years, and it's actually the reason why I came to melt my butter in my normal cake recipes. You can see that we start with oil, and you may have also found that many carrot cakes have oil as a base rather than butter. I actually think this helps with the moistness of the cake, and that's why I melt butter for my normal sponges too. So you can swap the oil for melted butter if you want. However, we spice this sponge mix and there's a lot of flavors going on, so the butter doesn't really give much to the cake. So I'm actually going to be making a tray bake. So this is half of what I would usually make for a larger quantity if I wanted to do a stacked cake, for example. If you wanted to do a 6-inch cake, for example, all you need to do is double the recipe that I've written below and it works just the same. So like I said, I'm going to start with some oil. I am using canola oil, but any flavorless oil will do. And I've also got a little bit of vanilla extract inside. And I'm going to go in with my sugars. Usually I use a soft light brown sugar, but it also works with using both white and dark brown sugar too. So you can use either, as long as they're the same quantity, because it will give the same sweetness. And using a whisk, I'm going to mix the sugar into the oil until it's fully incorporated. I'm then going to add my eggs and they can go straight in, and because it's an oil base, the ingredients mix in really easily. I'm just going to make sure that there are no large sugar clumps, especially from the dark brown sugar, before adding my plain flour and baking powder, and I'm also going to add my spice. So I've just got cinnamon here, but if you have ground ginger, an additional teaspoon of ground ginger really gives this an extra kick. So I'm going to use my whisk just to combine the ingredients. Like normal, I'm not using this to incorporate any air. Because I'm making this by hand, it just makes it easier to mix in. You can already see how rich and dark this batter is too. It's full of flavor already, and we haven't even got to the main ingredient, which is, of course, carrots. Now, I genuinely think the secret to a good carrot cake recipe is hand-grated carrots. So if you can, grate your own carrots, because I think they provide more moisture. The ready grated carrots tend to be a little bit drier, so I honestly think this is an additional secret to a good carrot cake. I love the addition of raisins, but they are totally optional, especially because I know some people don't like them. And I also like to add walnuts. And I'm going to mix them all together. Now you can see that this cake batter is now pretty packed with the carrots, raisins and walnuts. But that's exactly what you want from a carrot cake. It is a very rich cake, which is why I prefer making this in a loaf tin or as a tray bake like I'm doing. So as I said, I'm going to be cooking this in a tray, and as usual I'm going to prepare it properly. So I'm going to grease the inside with a little bit of butter. And to line the tray with the paper evenly, I'm going to place the tray on top of the paper and then cut the corners of the paper diagonally towards the corners of the tray. Then once I push the paper in the tray, it should slide in and not crumple up as it would do if I were to just push it in without cutting the corners. I'm just going to neaten it up by cutting off the excess, and there I have a perfectly lined tin. I'm now going to pour the carrot cake batter straight into the tin and spread it out evenly with the back of my spatula. So my oven has been preheating at 170 degrees Celsius. This is a little bit lower than usual, but because I'm making a tray bake, I want it to bake as evenly as possible without getting too domed in the middle. And depending on what size or shape you're cooking the batter in, depends on the time it needs in the oven. Generally speaking, it's about 40 minutes, but it might need longer if you are using a smaller or rounder dish. So check after 40 minutes and then every 10 minutes until it's cooked through. Once it's cooked, it should look something like this. Now mine has domed slightly in the middle, but not too much, and that's due to the lower temperature I cooked it in. I can tell it's cooked by pressing firmly on the top and it's springing back at me. Now because I want to ice it while it's still in the tray, I am actually going to leave the cake to cool completely whilst it's still in the tin. But if you've cooked it in a cake tin and you're going to ice it like you would do a normal cake, then you can leave it for a couple of minutes so it's cool enough to handle, and then take it out the tin, leave to cool on a cooling rack like you usually would with any other cake. So, cream cheese frosting. Now this is traditional to top a carrot cake with, and I absolutely love it. However, I do find in many cases it's very sweet. And the reason why is because it requires a lot of powdered sugar. So the other reason why I like making it in a tray is because my icing is always on the softer side because I don't want to put too much powdered sugar in. It's not stiff enough to make a layered cake and therefore won't hold 2 layers of carrot cake. If you wanted a stiffer consistency, all you need to do is add more powdered sugar. But to start, I've got some softened butter here in a bowl and I'm just going to beat it a little bit with a spatula to soften it up. I'm then going to add my cream cheese. Now the secret to a good cream cheese frosting is to use a very high fat content cream cheese. So not a light version, as tempting as that is, you really want a high fat because that's what's going to make the icing set. I'm going to beat that in with a little bit of vanilla extract to flavour until it's soft. Then I'm going to go in with my powdered sugar and I'm going to go in bit by bit just so I can incorporate it evenly. Of course, as usual, I'm going to pass it through a sieve to get rid of any clumps and mix it through. At first, it may seem like there's too much powdered sugar in as the cream cheese clumps together, but something happens when you add powdered sugar into cream cheese and it actually softens it up. It's very strange and I honestly don't know the reason why it does this, but you can see this is why you need a substantial amount of powdered sugar in there. So I'm going to keep going and add my powdered sugar until I achieve the desired consistency. And you can also see that this is a considerable amount of powdered sugar in there. I don't really want to add any more because otherwise it will just be too sweet. But for a tray bake, this consistency is perfect. It will be soft and spreadable, but it will set a little bit too. So my carrot cake is completely cold, which means the icing can go straight on. And I like to be quite generous with it because it is, after all, my favorite part of a carrot cake. And decoration-wise, I'm going to very simply go over the top with the back of a spoon and create these almost waves in the icing. I always top off my carrot cake with walnuts. I tried to find all the whole walnuts in the packet, but most of them broke. But the reason why I like topping it off with walnuts is because it gives you a clue as to what's inside the cake. And it's also going to help me portion out the cake because it's a tray bake. But you can decorate it however you like. I now want this icing to set, so I'm going to put it in the fridge for a couple of hours before I portion it out. So the cake's been setting and I can feel that the top of the icing is set, however it is still soft just because that's the consistency of my icing. And now I can portion it. So tray bakes are really nice to portion out. They just need to be cut into squares. For some reason I can never get it evenly, but it doesn't matter too much. Some people can have larger pieces than others. And there you go, that is my carrot cake. I can smell the cinnamon. It is so rich with flavor and it's got that delicious cream cheese frosting on top. This is seriously addictive. I'm actually glad I made half my normal amount. So try this out yourself, let me know what you think, and if there's any other recipes that you want to see, then feel free to comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and we'll see you soon for more tutorials.